Minuteman Uptown to North Minneapolis. We're invested in this local community, and we help small businesses and local organizations throughout the Twin Cities reach their audiences. Reach out to Minuteman Uptown and partner with a printer that shares your values. Call us today at 612-870-0777 or visit us at mpuptown.com. That's mpuptown.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for partly cloudy skies today with a high near 9, tonight cloudy with a temp rising to 14, and Wednesday partly cloudy with a high near 27. Discover delicious Szechuan and Mandarin cuisine at the Great Wall Restaurant. Enjoy favorites like Peking duck, mushu pork, and fish fillet and ginger sauce. Find them at 4515 France Avenue South or call 952-927-4439 for takeout and visit greatwallrestaurant.us for more.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Broadcasting live from the studios of AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and streaming live right now on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@TheGailey This is The Gailey Show. I'm your host, JP Derabogosian. Joining me in studio, as always, is our executive producer, Jim Pounds.
Hey, all.
And in the control room today, actually, is Patrick. Hey, Patrick.
Hi, everybody.
All right. We'll be taking your calls later in the show. We'll be talking about the new administration's executive orders, or you can chat with us on our YouTube live stream. A programming note, we needed to reschedule our conversation with Rochester Pride. So stay tuned as we connect with them later in the month. Things happen. It's live, and we needed to make a reschedule. So we appreciate your patience with us on that. But really happy. We have Kathy Renna, the Director of Communications for the National LGBTQ Task Force. For folks not familiar, they are the progressive voice of the LGBTQ movement and the LGBTQ voice of the progressive movement. They have been organizing people and money in pursuit of liberation for all. Their Creating Change conference starts tomorrow. If you don't know about that, since 1988, Creating Change has generated opportunities for many thousands of committed people from around the country and around the world, largest LGBTQ conference in the world, to develop and hone their skills, celebrate victories, build community, and be inspired by visionaries of our LGBTQ plus movement and allied movements for justice and equity. We were so happy to have Fernando Lopez earlier this month, the director of the conference, join us, and now as thrilled to have Kathy Renna, the Director of Communications. Hi, Kathy. Welcome to The Gailey Show.
Thank you. Fernando's a little busy right now.
Yeah. What?
I mean, so am I, but like Fernando's really busy right now.
Well, we appreciate your taking the time. So give us the scoop. What's happening right now at the conference?
So we're on the ground in Vegas. Yeah, no, we're ready to go. In fact, registration/check-in starts this afternoon. And, just trying to get back to my room and get through the lobby. Our people are here. So kind of stopping every few steps. It's that family reunion aspect of creating change, which, boy, we need that now more than ever. But yeah, we're really excited to kick off, check in. People are arriving. The conference itself starts tomorrow morning. We're kicking it off with our first plenary, Black Leadership Rising, which is gonna be super powerful. And, look, like we were talking, during the break, this is a really challenging time. I mean, there's no way. I'm tired of saying unprecedented, but it's just really, yesterday was an incredibly difficult day. And I felt so much better being with our whole team. We're in 3 offices, we're all over the country. So if all of us be together to deal with not just sitting through the inauguration, but also figuring out our response to it organizationally and as a movement and even just taking it in as, individuals. So, that's how we started off the week. And now we're moving into it where 3,000 and more of our very best friends and family and colleagues will be here. Wow. To enjoy and to also do what we need to do, which is plan. I mean, the theme is the theme for a reason. Resistance is our watchword, but we really need to also lean into caring for each other and keeping each other safe. And so I'm super excited for it to get started.
It feels like we keep overusing the word unprecedented, and then they do something to make it we have us reuse the word. I mean, are we mega unprecedented now at this point? Talk to us about that first plenary, because you have a lot. You were already what I was so happy about when talking with Fernando is that you all had been really not planning for this moment. Obviously, we wanted a President Harris at this moment, but all the planning that he was talking about and the plenary sessions and the workshops that were going to be offered are really speaking to this moment.
Right.
Tell us about that first plenary session and then what y'all are going to be having over the next 5 days.
Sure. So the first plenary we're kicking off with, and our MC, by the way, is Tre'vell Anderson. We're extremely excited about having them on our stage. They are incredible. The first plenary panel, which is sort of the centerpiece for the plenaries, is Black Leadership Rising. So we're going to have leaders from major national queer Black organizations. Imani Rupert Gordon and Kira will be participating. Andre Wade, who is the executive director of Silver State Equality right here in Nevada, Dr. David Johns from the National Black Queer Coalition. They're great. It's going to be super powerful, and it's going to be like we're going to spill the tea. Like, we need to have real conversations and talk about the challenges that we face, even as we are trying to do a better job in terms of diversifying leadership in the queer movement. That's going to be powerful. And I think people will really appreciate it. Our other plenaries are also, very similarly kind of attuned to the times. We're going to do a part 2 of what we started last year, a panel on democracy and fascism, which will be moderated by Amara Jones, who's an extraordinary trans activist / journalist. And these are the conversations we need to be having right now. And these are the conversations that happen really as a conference. Like, everyone comes to these. There's nothing else happening during the plenaries. It's so really important. We're also going to do a plenary session on safety and security. And we mean that in every sense, right? I mean, the panelists are all trans or non-binary identified intentionally. Those are some of our most marginalized siblings, right? Most at risk, but also best positioned to really talk about what the needs of those communities are. And the other interesting thing about that plenary panel, which I really appreciate, is that these are trans and non-binary folks who are working across movements. So not simply working in siloed and queer spaces, but also in reproductive rights, in union organizing, in the workplace. And so, these are opportunities to really dig into issues in a deep way. And then, of course, we love Kira Johnson, our president, will do her State of the Movement. We've decided to do it again as a fireside chat with Tre'vell. Last year, she did a fireside chat with Ms. Major. And it was a really terrific format because they're in conversation. And Kira has she's such a visionary. She has so many important, powerful things to say to our community. So the plenaries, like I said, are really centerpiece. We stream them on our YouTube channel. So if you're not able to be at the conference, you can go onto YouTube, just search for National LGBTQ Task Force, and you can set a notification, or you can watch it after because they live up there forever. And then the rest of the conference is, it's a little overwhelming for some, like first timers. We actually have an orientation for them. We have 2 of them later today. It's a lot. There are over 140 workshops. I'm sure Fernando talked about one of the things we really love doing, which are day-long institutes. Again, this is a chance for people to spend a serious chunk of time together. So whether it's the initial ones, which are very identity-focused, identity-based, and create safe spaces for so many diverse parts of our community, the institutes on Thursday really focus more on sort of movement building, right? So there's one on digital strategy training. There's one for youth who are, want to do work and activism and advocacy. There's one on queer climate justice. Again, working across movements and really consolidating our resources in a way that in this time right now, like you saw yesterday, those executive orders run the gamut, and our communities are going to be impacted by all of them, whether it's around immigration, whether it's around climate, whether it's around trans and non-binary folks. So there's so much happening. There's so much to do. And then the other piece of this, which, like I said, we lean into love and joy and community and care. This really, for me, is part of us caring for each other, is we have events in the evening that are just fabulous. We have the house ball on Friday, which is phenomenal. The hotel is actually going to do a karaoke thing it's going to be really fun. Like we're good. We have a talent show one night, and then of course Saturday night we end on a high note. We have Kiera's Cabaret with tons of fabulous entertainment. That's our 21 plus event. It's really fun, and we have a breakfast on Sunday to have a chance to say goodbye to each other and start planning for next year. We're in Washington D.C. next year, and so that's going to be interesting.
Kathy, can I ask you a question?
Here in DC.
Can I ask you a question? Is there a best attendee? In other words, if you had to characterize what kind of person or what age of person or what background of person would get the most out of this experience, is there a way to characterize that, or it's everybody?
No. We have something for everyone.
Something for everyone.
And I say that with I've been going to this conference for decades and decades. 37th year of the conference. I think I've only missed 4 or 5 of them. It's a different experience every year. And there really is, it is the most extraordinarily diverse queer space you will ever be in. Mm-hmm. People come here that have been out their whole lives. People come here who are coming out for the first time. I have a student coming. One of my students is coming, and he's bringing his mom. He's never been to anything like this, and he's going to help me volunteer in the media center, which will be awesome. But I'm really excited for him and to hear what his experience is as a young trans man who came out very recently, and to be in this space. Yeah. We learn from each other. One of the institutes is actually it's called Living, Learning, and Growing Across Generations. So we do a tremendous amount of intergenerational work. There's a lot I learn every day from the young people that I have on my comms team and as my colleagues. And a lot of young people are asking, what do we do in this current climate? For those of us who had to live and fight through the Reagan years or the AIDS epidemic, or there is no typical person here, and that's the best part about creating change.
That's great. We have a guest. I'm sorry to say this. Are we going to a break?
Go.
Nope. There's a guest joining us tomorrow who's in his 80s, and he's very big on the idea of intergenerational communication, both for just social friendliness, but also for learning from each other. So it's great to hear you say that.
I'd like to, we are going to come up on a break here, and because this is a big question, so I'll tee it up here, and then maybe we can talk about it after the break. But it's around the idea of solidarity and working across various genres of identity. Particularly the one I'm thinking about is around unions. There were a lot of conversations that I had, particularly with Teamsters, where folks were really shocked at how hard they went in for Trump, and how they were really willing to kind of throw and use as that the anti-trans messaging and these these lies that the border has been overrun and undocumented workers and da 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 da. And so what I want to ask after the break is, how is the task force in creating change sort of addressing building those, but maybe also healing those relationships that kind of feel fraught right now, that it's transactional solidarity, not full-on solidarity. But we are going to fit in a break here. Kathy Renna of the National LGBTQ Task Force is with us. We're talking about the Creating Change Conference, which starts in Las Vegas, Nevada tomorrow. Stay tuned. We have more with her and Progressive News and Radio after this break.
Hi, I'm Mary T, inviting you to experience our integrative Mary T Health and Wellness Center, offering physical, occupational, speech, and lymphedema therapies. Experience our guided imagery, meditation, Tibetan medicine, dry needling, massage services, including cupping and oncology massage. Sign up for our free wellness screenings and learn more at marytwellness.com. All major health insurance providers are accepted. Come for therapy, experience wellness.
If you go to shoprainbowrd.com, you will find an amazing variety of adult novelties, literally thousands of items that you can peruse in the privacy of your home and have shipped to your door. Plus, in the store, you can find swimwear, casual wear, underwear, everywhere. Rainbow Road is located at 109 West Grand Street near Loring Park. Gift cards are available for the hard to shop for. Go to shoprainbowrd.com.
Hi, I'm Peter Solak.
And I'm Adam Ostrowski.
We are here at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces to talk about the joy of live fire cooking. Cooking over a live fire is the oldest and most basic form of cooking.
What's new is in the way fire is handled and its heat is managed.
It's easier to experience and enjoy the smell and taste of food cooked over a live fire.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces sells and installs live fire grills, fire pits, and ovens. Let us help you experience the smell, the taste, the fun of cooking with fire.
Pizza was first made and is still best made in an open fire oven. The radiant and conductive heat of a live fire is unmatched for wood roasting and baking artisan breads too.
Come see the many ways you can cook over a live fire.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood and gas units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis. More information at woodlandstoves.com. Find the fire that works for you. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
Buzz up, pet pals. Coming up on Arden Moore's Four-Legged Life show this week, we get a real gut check on our pets and their health with Jamie Smith, co-founder of Innovative Pet Lab. Then we talk all things cats with special national kitty correspondent. She is KJ McGlynn. Be sure to tune in.
Catch Arden Moore's Four-Legged Furry Life every Sunday at 10 on AM 950.
When addiction takes hold, it's easy to feel like no one can help. But you're not in this alone. For 75 years, Hazelden Betty Ford has been at the forefront of addiction and mental health care, evolving treatment, reimagining recovery, and breaking through barriers to help families everywhere find healing. So please reach out at 855-489-2383. Help is here. Sponsored by Hazelden Betty Ford Foundation and aired by the Minnesota Broadcasters Association and this station.
Welcome back to The Gailey Show. I'm your host, JP Debragosian. Jim Pounds, executive producer, in studio with me. Also with us is Kathy Renna, Director of Communications at the National LGBTQ Task Force. The Creating Change Conference, the largest LGBTQ conference in the world, opens tomorrow in Las Vegas. Kathy, a defining feature not only of Creating Change, but the task force's history has been about solidarity, working across a variety of marginalized identities. I'd asked before the break about how do you see that work now happening with some communities where tensions may be frayed because of how the vote went down in 2024?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big question. It's actually something we've been thinking about for a long time. I mean, we've always been willing to have difficult conversations and, be there in the long haul with folks on a journey. But as we've seen things become more divisive and more challenging, it's really a priority. So, well before the election, and no matter what the outcome was, we knew that this was work that we'd have to do. And, the task force is very well positioned to do it because we will put ourselves in spaces where it's not super comfortable. We often sort of are glib sometimes, creating change. There's always a protest at Creating Change. Somebody's going to be upset about something, but we're a learning organization. We'll learn from that and we do better the next year. And those folks will come up to us and say, you know what, that thing that we were upset about, you fixed it. So yeah, I think you can really extrapolate that to the things we need to do on the outside. When you talked about the beginnings of the Creating Change conference, it was founded the year after the 1987 March on Washington. Mm-hmm. And if you were there and you remember, I was not, still in high school. No, I was in college. But I didn't go. The charge was go home and get busy, go home and, get to work. And so people did that, but they didn't have the tools. And that's why the conference was founded, because the task force, Urvashi Vad and Sue Hyde and others who founded the Creating Change Conference, we're getting inundated with requests. How do I do this? How do I raise money? How do I go lobby at my state house? How do I, so how do I do communications work, right? And so the conference has become a space or incubator for that. And so we've really honed those skills over the years and helped many others do the same. It can happen at a personal level, across the dinner table or at a family reunion, but the organizational parts are what are really going to be key. So you mentioned unions before we went to break. we work closely with SEIU, huge supporter, huge colleague. They will have a large presence here at the conference. Unite Here is actually sponsoring the conference. The task force has always done work, with labor activists. So I think having those conversations across the table from those who went in a different direction for the election is going to be important. There are also really important conversations to have, frankly, as white people, around who voted for Trump and why. So conversations about immigration, conversations about economic disparities, conversations about climate, and as we know, conversations about our trans and non-binary siblings. The conversation and the scapegoating after the election happened, and with the results that we had, was really disheartening to a lot of us. But I think what it shows is that something that we already knew is there's a lot of work to do, even within our own community, to really educate folks about trans and non-binary people. And so, that's going to be a priority too, because these are the communities that are going to be most under attack. Something that was very out of the election to see 86% of the, in the official exit poll, 86% of LGBTQ voters voted for the Harris-Walz ticket. I was kind of shocked that it was 64% in 2020. I was like, what were we thinking in 2020? I was very gratified to see that, at least electorally speaking, on that day, it seemed like we were very united as a community, which hopefully we will continue to see that going forward. I wanted to ask, because a lot of conversations I've been having is around the idea is that are folks who voted for him or are apologists, are they becoming unreachable? And I was like, oh, what a very interesting communications challenge that is, of if they're just not going to listen and keep, trafficking in, they're eating cats and dogs and making up all of these lies. Like, how do you have to constantly fact check it, and then they don't want to believe the fact checking. And so it's like, what is the communication strategy? Now, please don't feel like I'm asking you to solve that communication strategy right now. Wow, I'd have a much higher paying job if I could do that. That's for sure.
How do you hope that we're kind of beginning to frame and have that conversation about what to do with, because on one hand, I'm like, well, it's kind of been that way for a while with part of that community.
That is the question. And I think some of the answer is that we need to dig deep and go local and have personal conversations with folks. These are not conversations to have on social media. They weren't before, and it's getting even harder now, given no fact checking on Facebook, or we're going to shut down this and TikTok, and just the way people can rattle off nastiness and comments and facts that they think are facts, and things get sort of perpetuated. We're going to have to roll our sleeves up and have one-on-one conversations. I like to think that really almost no one is completely unreachable, but the only way to often get those folks on that journey, or at least the first step of a journey to opening their heart and their mind, is personal contact. And that, I think, is part of the challenge for trans folks, because it is not a large population of people. And I think the way I think about it, I don't know if we've ever talked about this before, but I make this analogy now more frequently. So in 1973, when they removed homosexuality from the DSM, with a wave of a psychiatric wand, suddenly all of us were not mentally ill. But that was 73, and it took us 50 years to get where we are now. And we know we have a long way to go around sexual orientation. Think about where trans folks are now. There's still work to do. And while they've made some modifications to the DSM, just some, there's more to do. There's so much education. So I feel like where the trans and non-binary siblings in our communities are is kind of like it's their 1973. So we're in this for the long haul. This is not a quick fix, and I know the pendulum swings back and forth politically, but at the end of the day, the cultural work that needs to just continue, no matter who's in the White House, who's in the State House, who's on your local city council or running your school board, needs to continue, because that's what helps us move forward.
This might be a difficult question. Do I have time for it?
No.
I was going to say that.
Well, obviously,
come
Kathy and Fernando are friends of the show. So first, I just want to wish you a very an excellent conference, or whatever the appropriate thing is to say. Break a leg, that it goes amazingly, because it sounds like it's going to. Folks, for more information on how to watch the plenary sessions, if you can't join them, you can go to the taskforce.org. You can go to their YouTube channel. Just look for the task force. There is also a weekend pass. We didn't get to that. If you are in Vegas or in the area and you can drive there, there is a weekend pass for folks that you can get. So go to the taskforce.org to find that information. Kathy, thank you for joining us on The Gailey Show.
Thank you both. And you can, call me with that question if you want. That's what I will.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be back with taking your calls about yesterday. See you on the flip side.
Thanks so much. That was great. Talk to you soon.
This is Santita Jackson. Monday through Friday, 6 to 8 a.m. Central, we'll bring you the best progressive talkers, thinkers, and doers on AM 950, Minnesota's progressive voice.
Hi, everyone. Even though we're already into 2025, it's always the right time to support AM 950. It's the 2025 AM 950 calendar featuring photos I've taken across Minnesota, plus important dates in both progressive and AM 950 history. All new and current sustaining members will make a recurring donation of $10 to receive a 2025 AM 950 calendar as a thank you. If you make a monthly recurring contribution of $25 or more, you'll receive a thank you of both the AM 950 2025 calendar and a signed copy of Tom Hartman's latest book. Make a one-time $30 donation, you'll get a calendar as a thank you. Or make a one-time $100 donation, you'll receive both the AM 950 calendar and a signed Tom Hartman book as a thank you. To become a member, go to our webpage, am950radio.com, and click on the membership button. The website has all the details on the different levels of the 2025 calendar and Tom's book. But be warned, we're starting to run low on the calendars and the signed book thank you. So don't delay. Thank you so much to everyone who supported us for the last 5 years and continue to help keep AM 950 alive. One of the last true progressive radio stations in the country. Thanks for keeping AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, on the air.
Hey, it's Patrick. Your friends and family may be gone now, but the messes that were left behind on your carpets, rugs, upholstery, and more remain. That's why you need to call my cleaning heroes at Zero Res and get 2024 out of your house for good. That's why to start the new year, Zero Res is offering 24% off all cleaning services for the month of January. That's 24% off carpets, tiles, rugs, upholstery, any surface in your home, and don't forget about your air ducts. Call Zero Res right now at 952-ZERO-RES or visit ZeroResMinnesota.com and ask for the AM 950 special. But Zero Res isn't just good for cleaning up the post-holiday messes at home. They can make your business look great too. Zero Res was out at the station this fall, and we couldn't have been happier with their quality of work and their professionalism, and the station looks great. So don't wait. Book your home cleaning today. Call 952-ZERO-RES or go to ZeroResMinnesota.com and ask for the AM 950 special. Zero Res.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067, or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for partly cloudy skies today with a high near 9, tonight cloudy with a temp rising to 14, and Wednesday partly cloudy with a high near 27. Discover delicious Szechuan and Mandarin cuisine at the Great Wall Restaurant. Enjoy favorites like Peking duck, Lushu pork, and fish fillet and ginger sauce. Find them at 4515 France Avenue South or call 952-927-4439 for takeout and visit greatwallrestaurant.us for more.
ATNF AM 950, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Coming to you from the studios of AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and streaming live right now on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@TheGailey This is The Gailey Show. I'm your host, JP D'Arbagosi. In studio with me is Jim Pounds. Hi, Jim.
Hey, JP, how are you?
Well, and Patrick is in the control room with us. Patrick, how you doing?
Doing well. How are you guys doing today?
I don't even know. I keep asking the question,
We've been
because
better.
it's polite, but at the same time, you're like, oh my gosh.
I'm sorry. I know you've mentioned that a number of times, and I still asked anyway.
Well, it's
But you have to.
social-
It's polite, right? You
right.
want to be polite and whatnot, but it's ugh.
'Cause I admit, I even had that conversation with somebody that, people ask, oh, how do you feel about this certain thing? Oh, I don't know how to answer that.
Right? It's yeah. I mean, how do you even begin to? I feel like I'm still processing a lot of my emotions. I want to hear folks at home in your car. How are you feeling right now? 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205 is our call-in number. Yeah. Well, I mean, go ahead.
Well, let's talk about some of these executive orders a little bit. I think the reason this was done by pulling up a dump truck and unloading it all over the sidewalk was so that it wouldn't get the scrutiny that 5 orders would have gotten if they'd come out. So this is a deliberate fire hose attempt to not have people really look at this carefully. Because
They called it shock and awe.
Yeah.
The staff.
But it's an attempt to evade scrutiny, which surprises no one. But of course, he rescinded a couple of Biden orders that were done on the first day of the Biden presidency, which had to do with efforts to improve diversity of federal workers, whether it had to do with, cultural background or whether it had to do with LGBT, and to also require suppliers to also have, some rigor in that regard. And those were rescinded. So in my mind, it's unfortunate. It's kind of unconscionable, but we lived without it. We know what it is. We had a rational executive order from Biden, and now that's been taken away. So we'll just have to elect the right person next time, and we'll probably get that back. That seems to be a one way to look at it. Obviously, the order declaring that there are only 2 forms of gender is so amazingly ignorant that I mean, it's fine if this is 1841. I'll give you that, Republicans.
Well, it wasn't fine in 1841.
Well, but I'm saying that there's to have not advanced beyond some very
It's not just about like documents, right? So you can't apply for, passport, social security card, right? That if you're with the gender that aligns with your gender identity,
Right.
They're also forcing. So now if you're in federal prisons, they're going to force detransition for folks that are incarcerated. They're already doing this in Florida, which is just absolutely
inhuman.
It's inhuman. It's a human rights violation.
That's right.
And there's certain things in here that it's just so ugly that you sit there and and I've been reading reporting that a lot of this may not hold up in the courts. And, there's going to be legal challenges to this. Obviously, Lambda Legal is going to be one of the folks that are going to be starting those legal challenges and going after it. There's a lot of this that you're like, how are you going to enforce some of this? It's not even clear how that can happen. But it's just the scope of it is.
But I think this is a really valid conversation for people to start realizing they have to have with people that you disagree with if you're going to stay engaged with them, or stop being engaged with them, because this is very inhuman behavior, and you'd have to be a really callous person, to not be able to see the humanity of taking somewhere between 1.5 and 4 million trans people and just throwing them aside like that. That takes a certain kind of callousness, and I think it's okay to confront that. I think it's okay to tell people that that's not okay with you. And I think whether that's a family member or a neighbor, I'm not asking anybody to get into a confrontation, but it should be beneath our standards to make an excuse that allows this kind of terrible bullying behavior to be okay. Just because Elon Musk doesn't like his daughter and he can't get over whatever that issue is, this suddenly becomes the highest issue that we have to deal with in a world with a lot of problems.
His claim is that he bought Twitter because it brainwashed his daughter
Yes.
and made her trans. And it's tragic to see what happened to that relationship. But also, I mean, if that was his intention to destroy Twitter, these are not. That was the question that and I know that Kathy wouldn't have had, the answer, because we're all wrestling with this question right now of are folks becoming unreachable? And I'll share a personal story, because I know that I'm not the only one that's experiencing this, but like, I have no contact with my family right now. I was disinherited by text message by my MAGA family. And so you sit there and you think, wow, like, I am a child, I am a brother, I am a cousin, a nephew, and nah. They would rather hold on to this MAGA stuff. They would rather hold on to this, one day I'll see the Christian light, and I'll come back into the fold, and I won't be queer anymore. And so I sit there, and the reason why I struggle with that is I'm like, well, it's your family, it's your family. And so when you sit there and you're like, well, why are other people changing their minds and my family isn't changing their mind? And, at this point, it is what it is. And, it feels that the estrangement and the not talking feels more emotionally honest than our relationship has ever been in my life. But it is, when you have situations like this, and I know there are a lot of folks that are going through that right now, whether it remains that way or not. Queer youth overrepresented in the number of kids that are kicked out of their homes. Yep. If you're not talking to your family right now, or if you've been estranged from your family, or they cut you off, it's hard to then be told, we've got to have these one-on-one conversations with these folks to help them, see the light. It's really hard to make that case right now. And I think we're all just, when we see a executive order like that come through, and then you're just wondering, okay, well, what's next? Because clearly Project 2025, they're going to go for all of it. And that is a full-scale attack against the entire LGBTQ community.
Right. But I think we don't even allow, I'm tired of being on the defensive, frankly. I think a lot of people feel that way. And so I don't want anyone to put themselves in any harm's way. I'm not, if you have a reason to stay in contact, or you just can't bring yourself to be honest with members of your family, that's fine. But if you're on the fence and you're saying, what can I do? Well, one thing you can do, because the media is doing a terrible job of this, in my opinion, is you can speak truth to people and set standards for your own safety and for your own health. And you can set boundaries. And it doesn't matter whether you're talking to Uncle Boris or, Aunt Fanny. It doesn't matter. You can look out for yourself. And JP and I were sitting at Queermunity yesterday after our live broadcast. And we sat there with 3 other gay men, and we laughed, and we, made each other smile. And there was just this great sense of, I'll call it family or community. It's there. You can find it if you're disenfranchised, or you've been thrown out of your house. God bless you. I hope you find some standard floor underneath you, but you can find other people like yourself who think like you do, and you can be safer. You don't have to be alone. And I know that's easy for me to say and hard to do, but I think you can find even some queer joy, as you say, JP, if you work at it a little bit. We can get out of our cocoon and march forward, because that's our only real alternative.
I want to, yes, I think that was a necessary, needed conversation that we had after that great broadcast at Queermunity. And I want to say that Queermunity is open 7 days a week, and I think from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. If I have those hours correctly. I'll fact check that in the break. But that is a space that if you just need to go and chill and hang out and be seen, or just know that you're in a space where you are affirmed, go to Queermunity. There's street parking. There is the parking. There's a parking garage, Calhoun, where you can get a discounted rate, I believe. on the parking, and there are multiple buses that drop you right up there at the corner. So it is. Some people, I used to think actually that Uptown was very inaccessible, and it turns out actually it is pretty accessible. There is that street parking. There's the parking ramp there. There are the 3 buses that put you right there at the corner of there. I know it's not good to have exasperation and trying to figure out your feelings while you're live on air. But I want to honor that for folks that are still trying to figure that out or feeling stunned. And if you are a straight or cisgender person and you've got a queer person in your life and you're looking at their social media and you're thinking, wow, they're posting about, they're posting cat photos and they're talking about what they, the cool people they're hanging out with and everything seems to look fine. I would recommend, send them a direct message, send them a text message, call them up and say, hey, do you want to hang out? Or I'm thinking about you, or, just an expression of love and affirmation, because I think that we're all feeling it. And yesterday, it not just the executive order, but the worldview that they are trying to foist upon us and setting the stage for a violation of the Constitution. I mean, the executive order that came down today that's trying to undo birthright citizenship, that's in the Constitution. And so now we're gonna really see a lot of things over the next 4 years about our system of governance, in the sense of our state's going to still have states' rights when it comes to, queer people of color, or are those just going to get tossed out the window? Does the Constitution even matter anymore when there is a Republican in office and Republican? I don't even want to say Republican anymore. There is no Republican. It's MAGA. When there's a MAGA executive order, is the Supreme Court going to look at that and go, well, actually, birthright citizenship is unequivocally in the Constitution, so there can be no limitations put upon it, like we do for the Second Amendment? Or are they going to say, well, we're going to interpret this really closely so that we can give him what he wants, and we're going to find a way forward, essentially, like they did with his immunity case, where they basically just threw out the obvious interpretation of the Supreme Court to say, yes, of course, presidents can do whatever they want. They can't be held responsible for the actions that they take, whether or not they break the law.
Well, I think we're going to learn where the end of that line is, because I think most decent people won't stand for it. That's my little bit of faith left in the American people, that they are not going to stand for it. And I think we're going to learn a lot. The thing they keep saying is, don't comply right away. Think about it. Don't take the time to not feel like you've just been thrown in the ash can. You've got options. You've got stop and think. Take some time to consider. Don't feel like you're forced to do something. That's what they want. This shock and awe baloney is their attempt to scare people. They're going to be trying to scare us for 4 years. So we have to be tougher than that, I think, and push back.
And the boundaries thing, to your earlier point, is a really good point to make. And I'm actually, I have someone that I am reaching out to that I want to bring onto the show for our Thinking Queerly episodes to talk about what boundaries look like and what they can mean, and how do you establish them, and what do you do when someone violates that boundary that you set up to help maintain whatever that relationship is, and how you want to maintain that, whether that's family in your personal life or something that you have to do at work. We're going to take a break here. Please support the sponsors and our advertisers. Tell them that you heard about them on The Gailey Show at AM 950. They keep the progressive voice of Minnesota on the air. One last break, lots to get to on The Gailey Show.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. Even though Auto Technical is a small nonprofit, we have helped more families with transportation than any organization in Minnesota. Since '94, we have reconditioned donated vehicles so they have a higher tax benefit. Call Richard at 612-919-5526, 612-919-5526, or autotech.org.
Greg Bakken here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville.
At Queermunity, savor our seasonal menus from our chef, June Day, a James Beard Awards semifinalist. We feature locally sourced foods grown and produced by queer and BIPOC farmers. A full-service cafe offering your favorite cold brew coffees, hot teas, cider spritzes, and our very own house-made chai lattes. Start your day with our smoked bacon and egg breakfast sandwiches served on a biscuit with chipotle mayo and cheddar cheese. Vegan? Try our vegan sausage, egg, and cheese. For lunch, pair our seasonal salads and soups with a caprese panini served on Rose Street baguettes. Try one of our chickpea salad sandwiches, or enjoy the comfort of our grilled cheese with mouth-watering provolone, cheddar, and Gruyere melting on Rose Street breads. We serve sweet and savory pastries, and check out our new bar menu featuring local beer, wine, and custom double hard seltzers. Mention AM 950 at the cafe register for a free beverage with entree purchase. The Queermunity Cafe is open 7 days a week, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. More info at queermunitymn.com.
Supporting the best local and independently owned restaurants in the Twin Cities has never been easier. You'll find an expansive list of local dining options at eatlocalminnesota.com, from classic American comfort food to authentic flavors from around the world. Specializing in Szechuan and Peking cuisine, the Great Wall Chinese restaurant has been a local favorite since 1981. They offer one of the most extensive menus in the Twin Cities. Favorites include the sesame chicken, imperial beef, and Peking duck. The Great Wall restaurant is located off 45th and France, with takeout available too. More at greatwallrestaurant.us. Nightingale on 26th and Lyndale is the ultimate venue for unforgettable gatherings. Whether big or small, your event will be a hit with delicious food and drinks served in a warm and inviting atmosphere. Plus, Chef Carrie's special creations add that extra touch. Craft cocktails, curated drinks, and a diverse menu make Nightingale perfect for any celebration. More at nightingalempls.com.
Welcome back to The Gaily Show. I'm JP Derbogosian, executive producer, Jim Pounds in studio with me. We are talking about the executive orders from yesterday. What are your thoughts? 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Something that you just told me in the break, Jim, and I just looked this up. 18 attorney generals of states have already signed, state generals rather, have signed on to challenge the birthright order ending birthright citizenship.
It's now up to 22.
Oh, well, there we go. 22 already a day later. Obviously, that's great. How are they ready to go a day later on this one? We all knew that he was coming for trans rights and LGBTQ rights. And so I hope that the attorney generals of these states are also going to file on a number of these, including because a lot of these states, we're talking about New Jersey, California, New York, Minnesota, all have state protections of varying levels and degrees to protect LGBTQ community members and our rights, whether that's in their constitutions or in legislation. And so this would directly impede their ability to protect their citizens' liberties and freedoms. So I hope to see, we have an amazing attorney general here, an ally in Minnesota. So I hope to see that maybe Minnesota will file that. We'll see what comes. Obviously, there'll be organizations like Lambda Legal. Right. I'm sure the ACLU has got something. I mean, they're both of those are saying that there are issues here, and in that executive order, and other folks that are not from the queer community are also saying there's legal challenges abound in this executive order. But it's just interesting to me, the ones that immediately seem to have immediate legal responses within 24 hours, and those that don't.
Can I do a quick segue?
Not that I'm upset, though.
No.
We have some amazing attorney generals in all of our states across
right.
this country.
Yeah.
We need them to be doing this.
Right.
And so I just hope that this is that thing we were talking about yesterday in our live broadcast of we want to have trust. We want to have our accomplices. We want to have our allies with us. We feel like we're showing up there. We're showing up for you. We're voting for you. We're doing that work. We're putting in that solidarity, like Kathy was talking about earlier in the show with the National LGBTQ Task Force. I hope then that we're going to see these attorneys general having our back and fighting for us alongside us in court.
I agree. I'm also going to point out that the Republicans have been blaring about the fact that energy won the election. And I just want to mention another headline that I'm looking at. A frigid storm drops rare snow on Houston and New Orleans as Florida readies snow plows in the panhandle. So as they deny, every time they deny the things that we all of us with a modicum of common sense know to be true, vaccines are good or whatever, you fill in the blank. We have evidence after evidence after evidence that we're in an unprecedented environmental calamity slowly unfolding, and literally they congratulate themselves for doing the one thing that will make that a worse scenario for every living creature on this planet. And if that doesn't make any of your MAGA friends hesitate over how long their grandchild's going to live, then maybe some of those folks are unreachable, perhaps. But I'm hoping that the more we see this, the people are in the middle who are hanging on to a MAGA point of view, but feeling sick about it, will start to second guess. That's what we can hope.
I mean, 50 years from now, depending on where we're at as a civilization 50 years from now. But I'm sure there's going to be a lot of historians and sociologists and, ethnographers and all sorts of research going, wait a minute. They rolled back environmental protections and initiatives to combat climate change as it was snowing in Florida. It's trying to, I don't know how, maybe they will have 50 years from now insight and new theories and research into why humans do what they do, and and also just the mind of the MAGA conservative, that I don't know how you square that circle. Clearly they're doing it.
It's not.
I don't know. What are they doing here in Minnesota? What are all the MAGA owning folks of winter sports related businesses, whether that's restaurants, ski hills, any of these things that are built upon tourism related to winter sports? How are they justifying this right now? In their head, how are they going, 2 years in a row, we haven't had any real snow?
The Republicans in Minnesota are spending their time worrying about states seceding to the Dakotas, which God help them if they want to do that.
You can go to the Dakotas. Have fun living in the Dakotas. You're not
Good
taking
luck.
an inch of Minnesota.
But then they're also doing
if
everything.
anything's going to happen, we're going to do reparations of land to indigenous people before we let you take a parcel of land over to South Dakota.
They're doing everything they can then to try to foul up the House of Representatives. Instead of leading, all they can do is gum up the works, make things worse. It seems to be their MO. So I don't know. Some humans are good and some are not.
Well, I'll be curious to see where this goes over the next couple of years, because a group of folks that I do want to talk to on the show, and hopefully we'll have more, specific targeted conversations, looping them in is the non-voters, for people who look at these two parties and see the same thing. And where I want to go with that though is are they still going to be seeing the same thing here? Where is the time? Where should the time be invested? Should the time be invested like they did in the Harris-Walz campaign of trying to find the conservative Trump voter who was going to, have a moment of conscience like Liz Cheney and vote for Harris-Walz? Or should the time be put in to talk to non-voters who don't see themselves reflected in the political system, who think, they're low information voters, so they're getting, the false equivalency narratives. How do we address that? That's gonna be something we're gonna cover here on the show, and I want to talk to folks about that. We're gonna see you tomorrow at 2 p.m. We are going to be talking with Reverend Harry Hartigan about this whole population of folks, LGBTQ folks, who are going to be entering retirement now or already in retirement. What's the work that we can do there to support them? Community really big, obviously, starting yesterday and moving forward. You can stream the Gailey Show anytime on our YouTube channel. You can get our podcasts everywhere you get your podcasts and at am950radio.com. Connect with us on Blue Sky. We're at thegaileyshow.org on Blue Sky. Lots of fun there. Come and hang out with us. Beautiful, beautiful space so far, unless they turn to. Up next is the Matt McNeil Show. After that, stay tuned for Native Roots Radio. See you tomorrow, everyone.
Dr. Stefano Sinacropi, an orthopedic spine surgeon and